Hello and welcome to Happy Cells and Souls. My name is Julie Powers and I am a licensed Zumba instructor and a business partner with the Juice Plus company. And my missions in life are to help people understand that life is better when they're dancing through it and to inspire healthy living around the world. But my expanded mission is to create better health at the cellular level and more joy at the cellular level, because we only get one body while we're here on earth, and we have to take care of it. But we also have to be joyful and happy while we're here and spread that through everyone that we meet. Right. And I have met a lot of really amazing people in my life. And what I have found is that if we keep our hearts and our minds open, we can learn from everyone. It doesn't matter if we share the same beliefs or backgrounds, or if we come from completely different directions. As long as we're open, there's always something to learn. And today we have a very exciting person to learn from, and her name is Hazal Ramsbotham. Hazal, you are 92 years old, and you are rocking and rolling out there. And I've met you in person. It was years ago at a conference, because you and I are both involved in the Juice Plus company. And while this is not a Juice Plus conversation, I know that has been a big part of your life. But I know that at 92, you are debt-free, you take no medication, you have more energy than most 25-year-olds, you can do 40 or 50 push-ups in a row at, just like at the drop of a hat. You said that you work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday with the senior center. You work out Tuesday, Thursday with a trainer. You train on a trampoline. You're very active. Your brain is sharp. And you are like in crazy good, vibrant shape, it is just so refreshing to see healthy people who are in their advanced years. And I've always said that I want to die as young as possible, as late in life as I can, which is, I think, what you're doing is you're going to be as young as possible forever. And I know that you have your master's of piano performance degree. You taught piano for 75 years, and you were awarded the National Teachers Association Fellow of the Year and Colorado's Music Teacher of the Year. But yes, what I'd like to talk about today is this book, which I told you right before I hit record that someone borrowed my book. And so I had to print out a copy of the front cover, which is 88 Keys to Living a Long and Purposeful Life. And this book is available on Amazon. And, I would just love for you to share a little bit about your story and why did you write this book to begin with?
I wrote it for my family. They had been begging me to write my memoirs. Because now that you have a computer, you can just, jot down things every day. But I just didn't do it. I just kept postponing. And people kept telling me I needed to write a book. And every time I met anyone, they said, you've got to write a book. And I just kept saying, I don't have time. And I said, I have to wait till I get to the top of my company. And then I looked around and saw that the people at the top of the company are just as busy as those of us who are trying to get there. And then finally, when I was going to turn 88, and I thought of that title, 88 Keys for the piano, 88 Keys, 8 years old. And 2018, I decided I better write it now to be authentic. So
right, the planets were aligning with all of those numbers, right? Lining up.
Right. So that's why I wrote it, is only for my children. It's on Audible, by the way.
Oh, great.
My voice, I read it on Audible in my voice, so you can get it that way as well as the print copy. And if I give it, if you're with me, I always autograph it for you. So
right, that's fabulous. And you know what, I remember that when we met, you had your box of books because you had just gotten them. We were at a conference, and I just remember that you were so proud and so feeling so confident about having done this, which I think is really cool, because so many times in our families, the people who have been there that are like the pillars of our families, we forget to ask them for their stories, for their wisdom until it's too late. And so what a gift that you left for your family, because they can live, continue to live on. You can continue to live on no matter what for generations and keep giving your sound advice. I mean, how many other 92-year-olds in the United States, because we live in a place with the standard American diet where a lot of people are sick, you have really stuck to your guns with these 88 keys to a long and purposeful life. And so what would you say if somebody said, well, I don't want to do all 88 keys. I just want to do a couple. I just want to play, like three blind mice on my piano. And I only want to have those keys. What would you say the most important ones are?
Well, the first one in the book, and I think it's the most important, is that my mother always said, you can do anything you want to do if you want to do it badly enough and are willing to do it, willing to do what it takes to make it happen. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And that has guided my life the whole time. My father died when I was 5 years old, and I had a brother 7, one 8, and one 12. And my mother was 37 years old, and it was 1936. I would have turned 6 in April, but this happened in January. He died of a double pneumonia before penicillin. And we had no help from anybody anywhere, no government help. So I get a little bit frustrated with people who are always with their hand out and expect everybody to help them. We didn't have anybody helping us, and we made it. We made it together.
Yeah. So I love what you said about whatever you want to do, you can do, but you actually have to put the work in for it. And of course, there are circumstances where people are not able to do certain things, for a lot of reasons. But I think a lot of people forget that they can, first of all, dream, and
Yeah.
and second, that they can actually follow those dreams and make them happen if they're willing to take the steps to get there. And so I think that's really great. Like, did you always know that you wanted to be a piano teacher? Did you always know that music was going to be part of your life? And was that one of your dreams that you made happen?
I remember saying to my mother that I was going to be a piano teacher. And I have no idea why I said that when I was 5 or so. But we did have a piano in our house. But I didn't, I couldn't have lessons after my father died. We couldn't afford lessons. So I just started playing by myself and learning by myself. And when I was 11, I'd been to the cotton patch, picking cotton every summer. And when I was 11, she said that by that time she'd gotten her degree and started teaching school and had been teaching about 3 years. And she said I didn't have to go pick cotton anymore. And so I thought, okay, now my little friends started coming to me and asking me to teach them to play the piano. And I had only had lessons from a high school student for just a couple of winters. And then she moved away. And I thought, well, I don't know how to teach, but you know what? I can teach them what I know. And so I said, okay, it'll be a quarter lesson. And so they started paying me. And I said to my mother, the last day I picked cotton, I picked 250 pounds. Now that's a lot of that white stuff, I tell you. And it was just cotton. It wasn't the bowls. It was just cotton. And I picked 250 pounds, and I made $1.25. $1.25 for all day in the hot sun up till sundown.
So now you were going to make 25 cents per lesson.
And I said, if I had 5 students, I could make as much in the comfort of my living room as I could out there slaving all day long. This is for me. And I followed that career the rest of the time.
That's great. And you know what? I think that people underestimate in today's world the value of music and how important it is, not just for our inner souls, but for neurological connections.
That's
and
right.
so many things that music and drama and theater and all the arts have been cut out of so many budgets. But it is the most important in so many aspects to make everything else work properly. People who are involved with the arts are usually much better at things like math and science because you can make all those connections better, right?
They think that's the frosting on the cake, but really it's the cake.
It is the case.
If they only knew, if they only knew that it's, I'm trying to get this phone to quit ringing.
That's all right. We're good. We're good. Yeah.
So if they only knew it's the cake.
Yeah, which is great. Okay, so that knowing that you can achieve anything that you desire as long as you're willing to put in the work, that's the most important key. What would you say the next most important key is?
No matter what life gives you, it's not what happens to you that counts. It's what you do with what happens to you. It's how you handle it that
Yes.
counts.
Yes.
And I don't know if I say that in my book exactly like that, but it's not what happens, but how we handle what happens that makes a difference. If we're knocked down 7 times, we got to get up 8 times. You have to
Right.
keep trying.
Right.
And we can't blame somebody else all the time for everything that happens, because sometimes it's not anybody's fault.
Right.
Things happen.
Things just happen. Sometimes it's just a matter of being in the wrong place at the wrong time or whatever. Right. It's just circumstantial, but yeah, you're right. It's what we do with that.
I met a guy recently who has written, he's a motivational speaker, and he told me that I was the best young old that he had ever met. And he said the way that you can be a young old is to, number one, always be optimistic. And he writes this in his book. And number two, be forgiving, because when you don't forgive, it doesn't hurt the person you're mad about. It hurts you.
Right. So
you have to forgive. And then number three, you have to be curious and inquisitive and try new things. And
well, yeah, that's really important, I believe, in the whole, like in our aging process, from the day that we're born until the day that we're done with these bodies. If we're not learning and continuing to be curious about something, then we're just going to shrivel up and die.
It's like a plant. It's either growing or dying, one or two.
Exactly. There's no in between. It's just not a stalemate. It's either moving in one direction or the other. And so I think that's a really good thing to note. And was there ever anything in your life that, you know, like you said, it's how you react to something and what you do with it, that you wished you had done a little bit differently? Or do you feel like you handled each thing the best way that it could have been handled?
Well, some people say they'd like to live their life over. I don't think I would like to live my life over again, but I think if I had it to do over again, I wouldn't have married so young at 19. And I was totally subject to my husband. Whatever he said went, and I was married to him 27 and a half years. And he decided to trade me in on 220s when I got 40. When he was 49, he took off with one of my students who was age 23.
Nice.
And I thought, wait a minute, there's something wrong with this picture, because I'd been so subservient, and I couldn't figure out how that could have happened. But after he married 5 more times, I finally decided it may not have been my fault.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. That's somebody who can't quite figure it out, right?
Yeah. And he died alone after all of those marriages. But he did get smart. He quit marrying the ones that wanted to have children, because he had 3 more children after my children. And he married older women then after that, I guess. So he did learn from that, but I had no communication at all with him. I just heard about it from other people.
Right, right. So one of the next keys, we have time for probably 1 or 2 more very important keys that people need to know. What would be one of the next ones? I mean, we can't give away all 88 keys. They got to read the book, right?
No. I just didn't think, every time I would talk to someone, they would say, you need to write a book. The thing that got me involved in writing book is I joined the Toastmasters Club, and I would recommend anybody joining Toastmasters because it really does help you to be able to speak legibly. That's, I guess you're writing legibly. Speak so that people can understand what you're saying, speak with enunciation, and put your thoughts together and be able to express them. And that's what I was doing when a person that was in the Toastmasters Club said, you've got to write a book. They would say, do your children know all of these stories that you're telling in my speeches, And I said, well, yeah, they were there. And well, no, that's not it, because they were children. They wouldn't see it the same.
Right.
So he said, you've just got to write them down for them to have. And so I wrote the book for them, and they didn't know I was writing it. And when it launched in April of 2018, I called them all and said, okay, you wanted me to do it. Now you can order your copy from Amazon.
You didn't even gift them a copy. You had them.
I didn't have any when it launched. I didn't have any of my own.
That is hilarious.
They all live someplace else. I would have had to send it to them anyway.
No, I love that. I love that, because what does that teach them? That's one of your keys, probably, is that you have to teach your children to be self-reliant and to be responsible for themselves. And if there's something that they want, then they can work for it. Very, very well done, Mom.
Right. And I don't know that I put this as a key in my book, but I think so many people try to be friends with their children when they're young. You can't be friends with your children. You're the parent. You have to be the parent. That you can be friends with them when they're grown, but you can't be friends with them when they're little.
Yeah, it makes things very challenging if you don't have those boundaries set. Yeah, for sure.
You have to be the boss, and it would not work at all if you try to be friends with them when they're little. And it hurts to discipline, but it's necessary. And
right, and there are different disciplinary actions for each child based on their maturity level and what's going to work best for them. So for sure, I think that's a really good thing, is that parents need to be parents. They need to be parents, and that's our job as parents, is to raise up the children so that they can go out into the world and be the best version of themselves, to be able to make their own decisions and then become friends.
And that's right. That's right. And you can be friends.
Right.
And I think that I'm friends with my children. Only one lives here. The other 4 live, South America, from coast to coast. I've got one on each coast and one in Texas. So only one lives here.
And you still live in Colorado, right?
I live in Colorado. We do have a family reunion with all 5 of my children getting together every 2 years, when the children come home from Brazil every 2 years. And we've done that ever since 1986. So
oh, that's great.
every 2 years we've had it. And we don't just have it one day. We start on Wednesday at noon and we stay together till Saturday noon. We get a place where we can all stay under the same roof. So we're not all separated in different little cabins and things. And we stay under the same roof, and that way we can all be together, and then we can go do what we want to and meet.
Sure.
But at least we're together for the meals and for the evening and that sort of thing.
I think that sounds like an important key, is to maintain your family relationships. Is that in your book?
Well, I talk about it, but I don't know that I put it as a key. It's there are several things I have to look up every once in a while. Did I really say this?
And that's all right. And that's all right.
One of the things that I did was I had never done any exercise for a life, for a lifestyle. I just would, if I think, oh, I need to exercise to lose a little weight or something, and I'd exercise for a little while, doing a bunch of sit-ups. I didn't do push-ups in those days, earlier. And then when I was in my early 50s, when I stood up after a worship service at church, and my knees cracked. My son said, "Mom, is that your knees cracking like that?" And I hadn't even heard them. I didn't realize they were cracking. And I said, "Well, I guess so." And so when we got home, he said, "I'm putting you on an exercise routine. You're too young to have that happening to you already." And it was in my early 50s.
Right.
He said, "You've got to do 40 push-ups, 40 sit-ups, and 40 deep knee bends every day." And I mean every day. I don't
Every
mean
day. That's
I
great.
don't mean 3 times a week. And then do 10 more minutes of cardio, making a 20-minute workout. And it's just a maintenance. And just think,
Oh, just froze up. Let's see if you get unfrozen. It's not unfreezing. It's totally frozen. So what I'm going to do since
you
we're,
don't have to.
oh, it froze up, Hazel. It froze up, Hazel. And we are at the end of our 20 minutes. But what we heard was that at 50 years old, you started a daily exercise routine that was 20 minutes every single day. But then additionally, you've added other workouts to your daily routine because it's so important to continue moving. And so I want to thank you for sharing your wisdom, because whoever happens to find this video might just be inspired to start doing things just a little bit better, so that when they're 92 years old, they can live a vibrant, exciting, energetic life every day. And I always say it's better to live your mission than it is to become someone else's. And it
That's
feels
right.
like you are definitely living your mission. So thank you for sharing your
Thank you.
wisdom.
Thank you. I appreciate the honor of being on with you.